Ottawa is teaming up with the province of Ontario to tackle guns, gangs, and auto theft. The federal government is giving $121 million to police forces in the province, with a particular focus on carjacking and auto thefts in the Greater Toronto Area. Ontario Premier Doug Ford says it will take a coordinated approach to help curb the issue.
I have a message to all the criminals. We're coming after you, we're going to catch you, and you're going to jail. Simple as that. We're going to keep you in jail as long as we possibly can. I will not spare one resource to make sure we go after these thugs and make sure that they're going to jail. But it takes a multiple approach from all levels.
For more on this, I want to bring in Elliot Silverstein. He is the Director of Government Relations for CAA Insurance Company. He's joining us from Toronto. Elliot, thank you for taking the time. I appreciate it. So, the federal government is stepping in with money to help Ontario tackle car thefts. Do you think that's going to be enough to make an impact?
It's an important step in the process. I mean, we've seen so many efforts thus far. We've seen the law enforcement funding from the provincial government last year. We've seen that move forward. This is another step in that process. We're going to see more initiatives in the coming weeks in terms of the industries coming together. You know, these are the small steps that we have to do now to bring forward to have greater success down the road, because this is a growing issue that needs everybody at the table.
What did you think of what the Premier had to say there? He said, you know, we're coming for you. We're going to put you in jail, and we're going to keep you there as long as we can.
You know, it really is an important comment because it is the fact that this punishment and the crime will fit equally. Because again, the Premier said it very well, that this is a coordinated effort, so that it's going to move forward, that the Premier will, the government will move forward and try and move forward to try and address these issues. Because again, you know, this is coordinated. We need to make sure that everybody's at the table, that the insurance industry, law enforcement, all levels of government, border services are together to address this tackling this issue.
Can you give us a sense of just how big of a problem car thefts have become in Ontario, and why is it such a huge problem?
So we really see the concentration in Ontario, in the Greater Toronto Area. You know, we've seen, you know, across the board nationally in 2022, the cost of the claims was about $1.2 billion. You know, part of that challenge is there's an attraction for a lot of these vehicles to be exported externally to other countries. But we're seeing it really heavily focused there. And again, there's an opportunity, because so many of these thieves are coordinating the efforts, and they are able to get access to these vehicles so quickly because of the technology. So they're actually getting access to these cars in under 2 minutes, and they can do multiple of these heists a night. And unlike in the past where it required more time to steal a vehicle, that's not the case now.
Let's talk about the impacts that this is having on insurance. Are these thefts driving up rates for everybody, not just the people whose cars are actually stolen?
So we've seen a number of insurance companies introduce surcharges potentially for those that don't put in deterrents in their vehicles if their cars have been deemed high risk. And that's been a very small, localized, isolated issue where it's focused on specific vehicles. The concern that we have is not only about the cost of insurance, but the cost of all the pieces all together. Because again, if your car is stolen, you have to go out and source a new car, and that's going to be at a higher price than it used to be, higher insurance rates, and then potentially higher costs in insurance as well, as this becomes a greater issue. What we want to avoid is that everybody is going to be paying more, because the industry has been stuck with a situation where they're paying out more in terms of claims. And that's why the call to action really is that we need everybody, from border services to vehicle manufacturers, the insurance and police, all together to have this common solution, because without any of them at the table, we can't solve this properly.
I mean, Elliot, you've characterized it right in a news release. You said for the insurance industry, it is the equivalent of addressing a year-round catastrophic incident like a flood or a tornado. I mean, that sounds really serious.
Well, when you think about the situation, you have a weather event. It happens very quickly, and you have a number of weeks where the majority of the issues are resolved through claims and so forth. In this particular case, we have a situation where the incident is happening all through the year, and there's no end in sight. And that's the problem, is that we can't, as an organization or even as an industry, say, okay, it's going to get better at this point in time, because the challenges remain. So without tighter security in our vehicles, without greater enforcement at the borders, this problem is going to continue. And that's what we want to avoid, because there's only so much that everybody can do without getting everybody at the table. We can tell consumers so many times over how to protect their cars, and many of them are doing that, but everybody has to come to the table and come open-minded to bring about change.
And so, I mean, I know you've probably said it before, but it keeps happening. So what can car owners do to reduce the risk of having their car stolen?
So there's a number of things that people can do, and it really varies based on where they live and how they park their cars. So for example, if you have a garage and you're not using it, that's an immediate step that you can take. That reduces the risk significantly. Locking your doors, not everybody does that. Looking at an aftermarket immobilizer for your car is another potential solution. Even visible deterrents, like a club, the steering wheel lock, is an important way to protect your vehicle, because if somebody is using a matter of seconds to get into your car, if they see that steering wheel lock, they're going to need a number of minutes to try and break that open, and they may move elsewhere. But also in your own home, don't keep your keys at the front of the house. Keep them further away. Consider a Faraday bag so that you block out the radio frequencies. Because again, what we have is a situation that they're using that type of technology to get quick access to your cars. So the more that we can make these small habit changes in our lifestyles, the safer our cars will be.
Elliot, thank you. Elliot Silverstein is the Director of Government Relations for CAA Insurance Company. He joined us from Toronto.